Hello, classmates and Doc Mel. Hope everyone is doing well. For my final Module 8 video report for Devc208, I will be sharing my personal insights on the following questions raised by Doc Mel while preparing for our FME3 or the Social Mobilization Program with my group. So, for our group project, we selected a timely and socially pressing issue in the Philippines. We chose Sustainable Development Goal number 3, which focuses on good health and well being. There were several topics proposed, but in the end, we collectively agreed to focus on HIV and AIDS awareness, which is a very important issue right now in the Philippines. What I found particularly interesting is this: because I've been working for quite some time in the marketing industry in the Middle East, I realized I'm a bit out of touch with the current social issues in the country. I do watch the news, but it's quite different when you are in the Philippines and you're immersed with the social issues that are happening around you. May that be like an economic issue, political, cultural, or even health related. Looking at this from this perspective, it really shows how each of us views social issues differently depending on our background and experience. This also gave me a better approach of how the SDGs translate into real, grounded social issues depending on where you are in the world. To continue, our group work required us to review past modules, and once we were assigned our parts, we held an alignment discussion about the campaign goals. Since my topic covered the objectives, I had to make sure that they were SMART goals. I also had to look up social mobilization campaigns that worked in the past, especially in terms of how timelines were structured, how phased communication was used, and how behavior change objectives were broken down into stages such as awareness, engagement, and action. I also noticed how effective campaigns often relied on touchpoints rather than one off messaging. In my industry, we call this the marketing funnel. So it's where the audience's behavior move along a continuum or a stage where they can be converted as a customer. What I've come to understand is that social mobilization is not a one off plan. It requires sustained engagement, continuous communication, and the active participation of stakeholders over time to build awareness, shift attitudes, and encourage collective action. Personally, as a marketing professional, planning, setting goals, knowing timelines are essential stages of what I do. What actually grounds any campaign in reality is the budget and the support of the people, the stakeholders, and at times certain situations for it to be sustainable. It's quite complex. In my profession, because of limited budgets, our campaigns usually run for a month at maximum or 3 months. Now, if you're planning for a campaign of a serious societal issue that requires years to solve, that also requires a lot of effort, also requires manpower, support, and budget. So the campaign must really be sustainable, which is a very important aspect of any SOCMAR or SOCMOB campaign. Now, on to the second question of Doc Mel. How can I apply those learnings when implementing a SOCMAR or SOCMOB program in the future as a DevCom professional? To answer this question, I think my biggest takeaways from this course is understanding how communication can go beyond just being informative or commercial and instead be used as a tool for social change. This course is very close to my field since I work in marketing and communications. Many of the concepts we discussed, such as campaign planning, identifying target audiences, selecting channels, and monitoring and evaluations, are things I already apply in my line of work. However, what I found most valuable is how these principles are used differently in the context of DevCom and social mobilization. Instead of being revenue driven, communication becomes more purposeful with the goal of creating meaningful impact for society. So, moving forward, I think I can apply these learnings by always grounding my work in a clear social objective. Whether I'm working on a campaign or a communication strategy, it is important to consider not just the engagement or performance, which are important metrics for me, but also how it can contribute to the well being of communities. For example, through our FMA3, working on SDG number 3 and focusing on HIV and AIDS awareness. In the Philippines, it helped me better understand how communication can address real social issues. It gave me a clear framework for linking communication efforts to outcomes in areas such as health, education, and equality. And as a DevCom advocate, I believe the challenge is not only to inform, but to influence behavior and support long term social change. And I think that's where I can apply what I've learned by combining my background in marketing with a more socially driven and impact oriented approach. So, those are my answers and my insights. I hope that you were able to relate to some of them and you were able to find meaning and fruitful discussion as well while working together with your group. Thank you for watching. Again, this is Rosamel, and see you around.